13 weeks ago, hundreds of years worth of information changed our perspective. We learned that the Philippines that we know today was a totally different place before. Barangay, the beginning of Philippine governance. Sultanates, the oldest Muslim inhabitants of the country. The Spanish colonization, a period of cultural and economic transformation. The American colonizers, promising hope but yielding despair. The Japanese colonizers, a harrowing epoch of cultural suppression and political dynasty, a poison in our democracy. Now, we will unravel once again the history of the Philippines. You may wonder how narratives from hundreds of years ago are still surviving today. There is a field of social science, a body of knowledge, a systematic account of a set of natural phenomena that is in charge of preserving these narratives that we know of today as history. Asking questions is what piques the interest of historians to write historical narratives. Historians do not capitalize on imaginations to write historical narratives. Instead, historians use sources. But of course, history cannot be history without its sources. There are two sources of history, and these are the primary and secondary sources. An eyewitness testimony or a document
My countrymen,
that was created
as of the 21st
during the time under study,
this month,
the primary source focuses on the content, no matter the form.
Proclamation number 1081, placing the entire Philippines under martial law.
An interpretation of primary sources. The secondary source has one or more steps removed from that event. All societies had to start somewhere. Even before the Spaniards arrived, there was a small political unit that was established in the Philippines. Behold, the barangay. During pre-colonial times, the natives traveled from place to place by boat, which is the balangay. Years have passed and the term evolved to symbolize the smallest political unit within Tagalog society. Hence the term barangay. In pre-colonial Philippines, the barangay was more than just an indigenous boat. It symbolized the seed of a socio-political revolution where a revered figure known as the Datu emerged. The Datu, serving as both a spiritual and political leader, fostered progress and guided decision-making within the community assemblies, creating a symphony of belonging and identity. The Datu played a pivotal role not just in maintaining order, but also in uniting the people. Loyalty was directed towards the Datu, highlighting a close-knit society where individuals look to local leaders for governance rather than distant rulers in distant lands. typically ranging from 30 to 100 residents. In the heart of these communities, life flourished through activities like farming, fishing, and trading under the Datu's leadership. As a testament to their unity, Datus collaborated even in dealing with larger Muslim sultanates, showcasing the resilience of the barangay system. Fast forward to the present, and the barangay spirit continues to beat as the heartbeat of the modern Philippine governance, preserving echoes of the past in today's rhythm. The Datu acts as the legislator, judge, arbiter, mediator, and general of the barangay. Chosen mainly through inheritance, the Datu can also come from outside the barangay if they show enough skill and courage during war, get wealthy enough, or through marriage. No man is an island though. And even in pre-colonial governance, this holds true. There also exists a council of elders that would help the Datu in making decisions. This is called the Agorang. Together, the Datu and their Agorang rule over the Saku, the territory in which they rule over. Only they can rule over the barangay, and whoever else enters their Saku must ask for their permission. The barangay is often overlooked, yet possesses the essence of a state, woven intricately within its fabric. It is not measured by Western standards, yet it embodies the 5 pillars of statehood, as observed by political scholars. First, a defined territory, a canvas upon which the barangay thrived, establishing its authority over the land. Second, a populace, a tapestry of vibrant souls forming a community, sharing a common ground within these boundaries. Governance. Under the leadership of a Datu is a beacon guiding the community through the ebbs and flows of life. Sovereignty, an intangible cloak draped over the barangay, allowing independent decisions and rule of enforcement within its confines. Lastly, a shared heritage, a treasury of customs and traditions binding hearts across the generations. The barangay, a state by its own measure, challenging conventional notions of statehood. It deserves reverence for its role in the symphony of human civilization.
A sultanate is a political and territorial entity governed by a sultan, embodying the Arabic term sultan, denoting authority and power. Historically prevalent in Islamic societies, a sultan holds dual religious and political authority. The title itself signifies significant power, marking regions under such rule as sultanates. A sultan's religious role involves upholding Islamic law and supporting religious practices, while politically, they wield sovereign control. This dual role signifies the unity of religious and temporal authority in Islamic governance, akin to the concept of a caliphate. 723 years ago, something was stirring in Sulu, in the southwesternmost tip of Mindanao. This is an Arab trader. These traders came from Malaysia, a country brimming with sultanates and encountered Islamization. Aside from trading, they performed religious missionary activities that catalyzed the spread of Islam in Sulu. This is a period of openness to Islam, the Makdumin phase. However, a stronger force will oust these Arab traders originating from the Tang dynasty. These Chinese traders displaced the Arabs in the trading route. 100 years later, Sulu's Islamization did not stop in trading. The next stage progressed rapidly, the formation of political institutions. And it all started with the arrival of a Sumatran prince, Raja Baginda Ali. Picked by the beauty of a local girl, marriage was inescapable. The now married prince established a principality and ruled the state. A state is considered a sultanate if most of the inhabitants were Muslims and responded to Islam. This was achieved through the arrival of a Sheriff Abu Bakr in Buansa, Sulu 50 years later. At this time, Islam was deeply entrenched in this community, and the Muslim inhabitants were inclined toward politics. This stage of Islamization was made possible through easy maritime contract with surrounding Muslim regions. In the heart of South Central Mindanao lies Maguindanao, a land steeped in history. Our journey unfurls in the year 1515 with the arrival of Sharif Muhammad Kabungsuan, a man of profound purpose. Hailing from the distant Sultanate of Johor, this Muslim missionary bore the torch of a new faith. His teachings echoed through the land, resonating with the ruling families who embraced Islam. Thus, the Sultanate of Maguindanao emerged, its pulse beating from the vibrant streets of Cotabato. But this story delves deeper. Kabungsuan's followers, fleeing the Portuguese invasion, found solace in these plains after braving tempests at sea. Stranded and undeterred, they founded Malabang, finding kinship with the ruling families in Pulangi and Buayan. The lineage of Kabungsuan, woven into the fabric of noble families, marrying daughters of indigenous rulers, forging a legacy intertwined with the land. And so, Sharif Kabungsuan's legacy echoed through time, contributing to Maguindanao's rich history. Manila, the capital of the Philippines. It has its contribution to Islamization history. However, Manila did not fully become a sultanate. Manila was ruled by members of the Bornean aristocracy during the second half of the 16th century. This signifies the beginning of Islamization of Manila and was starting to become a sultanate. 450 years ago, the Spaniards who colonized the Visayas reached Manila. This ended the Muslim principality and overruled the Sultanate of Brunei before Manila became a fully developed sultanate. Education, a very impactful part of an individual's life. Would you agree that education influences the way we live our lives in the future? The time of study is the time when an individual's values, habits, and knowledge are shaped, and that is why education is very important. Ever wonder why there are so many Catholic schools in the Philippines? One of the most impactful influences that the Filipinos had was from the Spaniards during the Spanish colonization, one of which is education. These colonizers learned that to maintain colonial order, they had to train the people. This is the birth of the University of Santo Tomas. The Spaniards embedded religion into schools that were built during the time of colonization. They aimed to transform the natives into Christians. The friars, who were members of religious groups, were the teachers of schools. Education was religion-oriented, and they were controlled by the Catholic Church. "287 years later, the Americans ruled the Philippines for 48 years. It was a tumultuous era. Education emerged as a cornerstone of transformation. The American implementation of education system marked a pivotal chapter in Filipino history. The Americans, envisioning a systematic education, introduced new pedagogical methods, established schools, and implemented English as the primary language. This blueprint aimed to mold a new Filipino identity, bridging diverse regions under one language. The Education Act of 1901 standardized the curriculum, emphasizing American histories and values. New teachers, predominantly American, flooded the country, imparting Western ideals. This educational paradigm bore lasting effects. It fostered a bilingual society, creating opportunities yet fostering a cultural divide. The educational system is aimed at assimilation, diluting indigenous languages and traditions. This revolutionized access to knowledge, yet faced challenges as indigenous cultures collided with new teachings. Today, the legacy of American education lingers. While it broadened horizons, critics argue that it eroded cultural roots. The dichotomy persists, a system born from colonialism, enriching minds while tugging at the fabric of Filipino heritage. Its impact, a complex tapestry woven into the nation's narrative, sparks debate on identity and progress. Among the most significant shifts was the imposition of Japanese education, shaping the fabric of Filipino society and overhauling the American education system imposed previously. The Japanese introduced Nihongo, their language, aiming to assimilate the Filipino youth. Vocational schools emerged, imparting practical skills. However, this educational overhaul had far-reaching effects. It echoed into contemporary times, influencing the Filipino mindset and societal structure. Radio Tasho became a conduit of influence, broadcasting Japanese propaganda and educational programs, and shaping Filipino perspective. It was a radio program that the Japanese occupiers mandated to develop physical fitness and discipline among Filipino children. But this educational restructuring, while impactful, bore a complex legacy. Decades later, echoes of Japanese education linger in the Filipino educational landscape. The Japanese influence has warned, yet traces remain. The vocational approach still echoes in certain educational institutions. For some, it was a positive push toward practical learning, while others viewed it through the lens of foreign imposition. The legacy of Japanese education in the Philippines is a complex tale in the realm of contemporary societal debates. Now, Earth is approximately 4.5 billion years old. The planet witnessed millions of generations that formed the greatest dynasties ever existed. But there is one type of dynasty that is considered pernicious: political dynasties. 500 years ago, the arrival of the Spaniards started the earliest form of political dynasty, the Principalia. Now, political dynasties just got worse. Countless elections have passed. Politics has become dirtier, dangerous, and horrifying. Nothing can ever stop it. However, there is still a glimmer of hope for the democratic country. The Anti-Dynasty Bill. Attempts have been made since the 8th Congress of the Philippines, 36 years ago, to put an end to political dynasties, but it was always thwarted. Unsurprisingly, the Congress has many members from political dynasties. Political dynasties inflict negative effects, many of which are poverty. For that reason, this is the only dynasty that should come to an end.
The love for a country must not be extinguished.
Be aware of the things and events that came before us.
The history
Of our home country is a treasure. This is the history of the Philippines.